add a little more to what I said earlier about Bill Nye. People are upset because Bill Nye is I guess he's political. I don't get it. Christians do it. You have Christians who come out and defend Trump and say, well, he's what did Franklin Graham say? He's profane, but he's ordained. That's what he said. So if Christians can be political and they can use their religion as a weapon against people who don't, who aren't religious, as a protective cover for those people, then why can't a scientist say, listen, I'm a scientist and I believe in climate change, and I'm looking at the political parties and I only see one political party that takes this stuff seriously. So I'm a Democrat. Not because Democrats are perfect, but because Democrats are at least going to give me face value. They're going to at least pretend to care about science and natural resources and climate change and pollution and endocrine disruptors. There's only one party that's going to at least let me have that kind of discussion. Democratic Party. Republicans are up here talking about how climate change isn't real and how all this is Chinese hoax. And I think 2020 was just an eye-opening year to people who weren't political at one time because they didn't have to be. Let's understand something. Let's understand something, folks, about what it means when you say political and what do you mean when you say don't be political. To say I am not political is to, in essence, say I am okay with the status quo. I'm looking at the world outside my window and I'm fine with it. And I'm okay with it. And if you're a scientist, if you're a researcher and you're looking at climate change, look at the wildfires getting worse, you're looking at record-breaking storms, and you see Trump saying, oh, well, the pandemic will go away. The heat will make it go away. And oh, well, the wildfires, they will cool down. If you're sitting here and you're watching that and you're outraged, there's only one thing to do, baby. And there's folks out here who will say Democratic Party is just, they're just placating, they're just playing games, it's all pretense. That could be true. That could be true. I am certainly not singing the praise of the Democratic Party. I'm certainly not doing that. But I will say, I don't understand how. Well, I understand how. What I was going to say is I can't understand the anger about Bill Nye being a liberal, or at least pushing for Democrats, because he believes in science. Republicans don't. Republicans are just like, well, the Green New Deal is America's off switch. That's literally a Republican talking point. So Republicans are literally saying, they're not saying, the argument isn't saying that the Green New Deal won't work. The argument isn't saying the Green New Deal is faulty. The argument now from Republicans is, well, if we do something about climate change at this point, it will harm our economy, our local economies. Well, then that means we need to change our economy. We need to relook these things. That's what Republicans have done in 2020. Is they've laid that out that if we're gonna make change and we're gonna have positive change going into the future, it's not gonna be through the Republican Party, baby. It's not. Like, that's not how this works. That these ghouls, these fucking ghouls, are gonna, as I say often, they're gonna use climate change as a way to engage in more neo-colonial activities in the future. That's what Trump represented for me. But that things won't change, and that we're not gonna try to, just like Trump didn't use the stockpile to help the people, that's how the government's going to treat Americans when climate change gets really bad. That is essentially what I'm trying to say here. The same way they handle COVID is the same way they're going to handle us when you get these heat waves and you get these blackouts and you're getting all these different conditions, you know, record-breaking storm events and stuff like that. This is the future. And weather events that go on for weeks on end where it rains for days. This is what this is. The Trump era represents an era of repression. It represents an era of repression. External as well as internal repression. And that this is just the way things are. To accept it. You know, that we've gone down this path of denial, climate change and pollution and everything else, and that we can't go back. We made our bones on it. And so that I understand Bill Nye's frustration. If that's how he feels, I get it. And I'm sure he's probably been this way for a long time. Look, there are people, one thing about this election is that I learned that there's people who are Republicans who vote Democratic on the national stage. And there are people who are, you know, vice versa. That you know, the idea of there just being one kind of voter, that's not really real there, bro. Sound like a bitch out here. That voter doesn't really exist. They're just like, okay, I'm a Republican, I'm a redneck, I got these niggas. That's not really real, man. There's people who just are like, yeah, man, I believe in democratic politics, but I don't like gay people. There's folks like that out here. There's folks out here who are like, yeah, I believe in property rights and stuff like that, but on the big picture, I do believe in pollution. I do believe in strong government and things like that. You know, people are more complicated than I guess I knew, or than I realized. I learned that under Trump. People are more complicated. That's probably the good thing about Trump, is that he never really recognized his true power of that, of being able to control Republican Party. It's all been, I'm taking my toys and going home. Like that's been Trump, in my opinion. Anyway, thank you for listening.